One.
All right. And we are live. We are live. We are live. Uh-oh. I am getting an error on LinkedIn, so hopefully we can still go ahead and do what it do. But hello, beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are tuning in to. Today we are back with another guest expert series, and today we're going to be getting into generating recurring revenue on repeat. So, if this is your first time seeing my face, hearing my voice, I am Alente Collier, founder of Streamline and Scale, where we are a full service operations management agency where we do three things. We help those online business owners streamline operations, scale profits month to month versus annually, and then also sustain that success. So if you are tuning in live, y'all go ahead and comment down below #live. If you are catching this on the replay, go ahead and comment down below #replay. Hello. Hello. All right, so let me go ahead and introduce our phenomenal guests today. Today we have Miss Shanel Evans, the social media strategist. Shanel, go ahead and take it away. Let us know all about the magic of who you are, what you
Yes,
do.
I'm pumped to be here with Alante. This is the power of social media and the power of, just really, just reaching out and trying to create systems for yourself. My name is Shanel, and I work with coaches and experts who have offers that they're ready to launch, and we create visibility with cash generating social media strategies for them. I do that in three ways. One, through my membership. I have a monthly membership. Two, through my Scroll Stopper influencer program. And then three, through my social media domination mansion retreat. So I'm ready to dig into this topic. I'm excited.
Let's go ahead and get into it. So there's so much to get into when it comes to recurring revenue. But before we get into all the good stuff, let's first start with the queen herself, Shanel. Where does it all start for you? How did you become this social media strategist? Like, what is your story?
Yeah, so there are three key components to my story. One, I started with an accounting and finance background. I'm a former CPA. I have helped launch over $3 billion in transportation projects. And most of the time, as an accountant, most of the time they want you to kind of like fit in this like cube box, right? There's 4 boxes, but I always had roles that were very broad, where I work with business development and diversity and help lead up organizations and help lead up startup projects. And so for me, the visibility part comes from my accounting, finance, and business background. Really being intentional about like leveraging the skills and then helping businesses grow. Two, my husband and I have a nonprofit organization that we started over 12 years ago, as well as a brick and mortar facility training youth athletes. And so I'm very active in the community. But what happens is that I built those organizations through social media. Like I can go anywhere across the country. People know who we are based on our social media presence. And a lot of times when you're very active in your community, small businesses, they talk, they network. And so people will come to me and say like, hey, like who's doing your marketing? Who's doing your social media? It was me. And so that's where that piece of it comes from. And then 3 is, really being intentional about just leveraging conversations and leveraging how I present myself online. Way back in the day, I'm going to age myself, but I used to have an online clothing boutique called mydivashop.com. Almost 20 years ago, back when internet wasn't even really internet, but it was things like Yahoo groups. It was things like, email. It was things like really building out your community based on a little small profile pic and having conversations. So that's a long story that leads into where we are today, whereas I help women and minority-owned businesses really broaden their reach, broaden their visibility by leveraging the power of social media, but doing it in a conversion, recurring revenue sort of way, because visibility is cool, but if it's not bringing in money into your business, what's the point?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And I just got this notification. So in a second, I'm going to go grab my charger so this doesn't just shut off on
Uh-oh.
But we can go ahead and dive into the first topic in the meantime. And I really want to go ahead and talk about businesses and generating revenue and generating recurring revenue without social media. Like, what did this look like for, especially for those who are building their businesses and have their businesses offline, thinking about transitioning online and mortars, right? What are some of the traditional ways or some of the old ways that you've seen in your journey of how, you know, businesses and people generate this recurring revenue? And
so the old way of doing networking is to, you know, physically be someplace. Yes. Hanging out at networking events, getting really involved with your local chamber of commerce, you know, having meetups or, you know, going on Eventbrite and finding workshops that might be in your niche or hosting workshops. Those are sort of like the old ways of doing networking, and not that they don't work, not that they're not effective, but the world, especially from an online landscape, is wide open to you. And so learning how to maneuver through the online space and complement what you're doing from an in-person is just so much more powerful.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, there is this thought process, right? And I kind of ran into this as well. I see this all the time. And when people think about transitioning into the online space, there's this mindset, maybe this limiting belief that once you hop into the online world, things just change. Things are just different. How you network, how you meet people, how you build rapport, how you have conversations is completely different online than it is offline. What's your standpoint, your perspective on that, Shanel? Is it different?
I mean, it is different in a sense because, you know, when you meet somebody in person, you know, you make small talk, you know, you're hanging around with your business card, you know, you kind of like look at somebody and get a feel for, is this person nice? Do they have a smile? We do the same things online. It just comes across a little different, right? And so if you were in a networking event, if you walked into a networking event and somebody was speaking on stage, you would not just immediately walk up to that person on stage and hand that person your business card. You would make some small talk. You would get to know them. And so that's really what online marketing is. It's a conversation. It is not just, okay, let me spam and put out all my flyers at one time. That's the equivalent of walking into a crowded room and handing somebody your flyer. Hi, my name is Shanel, and this is what I sell. No, it's like, hey, what's the weather like? You know, do you have kids? You know, tell me about where you grew up, but it's being just done in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned events, offline events, right? And this is the beauty of the pandemic. It was a blessing and a curse because we've been able to replicate those same kind of offline experiences, in-person experiences online as well. But before we get into that, let's kind of talk more about when businesses and brick and mortars and people running their businesses offline, when they were doing these kind of things, maybe depending on word of mouth, maybe depending on referrals to generate revenue, right? What were some of the things that you saw these lead to without social media when they're generating revenue this way? Was it predictable? Was it sustainable, right? What were some of the things that you've seen?
Yeah, definitely not predictable. Definitely exhausting, you know, needing to fill your calendar out with coffee chats and fill your calendar with lunches or happy hours or, you know, going out to networking events, you know, driving an hour away, you know, just to hope that you meet at least one valuable contact. Whereas online, we know that, you know, just the world is just open up to us with our social media timelines.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. So now with this new age, with this online world, and since we're moving into this virtual world now, right? What are some of your favorite ways of how you've been able to help these businesses and these business owners generate recurring revenue with social media, whether it's
Facebook? Absolutely. Yeah. So one way for sure is to make yourself known, right? We have to be our own brand ambassadors. Even as a brick and mortar, even as an in-person business, you have to be your own brand ambassador. And with that comes being super clear on like your overall goals, like who it is you want to work with, who needs to come into your space, your online space. Who do you want to collaborate with? You know, a lot of times we think about social media as like just getting the clients, but it's also about like who do you want to partner with? Who complements your business services so that you can know your client well enough to know what they need from the front part, but also from from the end after they work with you. So those are, just some really like quick ways on being able to just think about who you want to work with, think about like your client's journey, but then also being very clear on just the intention that you have and the vision that you have for your business.
Yes. Because y'all, I know I've done this in the past, and put a 1 down below, y'all, in the comments if you can relate. But maybe you've been one of those people that you've been just on social media and you find yourself, you're scrolling for an hour, 1 hour turns into 3 hours turns into the whole day. And you find yourself,
right.
I've been on Facebook all day and I'm not really getting, return on my time, my energy I'm invested into that, right?
Right.
And this is the beauty of having a strategy when you come into the online space, because Facebook is making bukus of money off of us, but there's still a way for you to go ahead and get your market share, for you to go ahead and get your cut out of that. And that's leveraging, number one, being visible online, but also having a strategy in place that will allow you to be intentional with who you connect with, be intentional with who you collab with, be intentional with who you converse with. What conversations are you? Like, there's so much we can get into on this, Shanel, but I want to, we have one comment here down below, and this is great because I would love to segue into conversations. But one person said here, yes, love it. It's a conversation and being personable. Yes, rather than pushing business. I have a background in network marketing, and network marketing before social media came into the place, right? It was that whole thing of go find 100 people. It's a numbers game. Right. Go find 100 people, tell 100 people about what you do. Eventually, one of them will land.
Send the same message to the same 100 people.
And back in the day, I got blocked, I got ignored. Like, these are some of the things that I still see today. I call Facebook spam central, because I don't know if your DMs look like this now, but we're getting DMs of people just, coming into your inbox and just promoting whatever offer or upcoming event they have. And then it's kind of like, okay, did I get on here? Is Facebook really one of those places where I can actually meet and connect with like-minded people? Or is this more so a place of where people just market and sell different things? And so I've grown to really get to the point of being in control of social media. Like, you create the environment that you want to walk into every single day and enjoy seeing what's on your newsfeed. Enjoy, the people you're talking to. Enjoy the content you're engaging on. What are some tactics or some tips that you use and you help your clients when it comes to being on social media and enjoying being on social media?
Yeah, that's a really good topic. That's a really good one. And I'm glad that you talked about one. You said something spending hours and hours. I literally just created a TikTok this week about, like, sorry, I missed your call. I've been on TikTok for 17 hours, right? But here's the thing, like, if you're going to be on social media, many of us are used to being on there for personal, right? And so I think that's where the difference comes in, is when we want to use it for personal, but then also use it for business, because we're comfortable posting, we're comfortable sharing. But then when it comes into building recurrent revenue for ourselves, it's like, ooh, let me shy away from talking about business stuff on social media. So here's one thing that I highly recommend my clients do. When we start working together, we lay out their vision, we lay out who their ideal client is. We also lay out, like, who do they want to partner with? Who do they want to collaborate with? Because most of those times, those are people that are in your timeline. And if you're not inspired by your timeline, like you said, it becomes draining. And so I encourage, users to detox your timeline every once in a while, like every quarter, even if you need to do it monthly. Go through, if there are cousins from back in the day that are just up to no good, that have nothing to do with your business, you can be friends with them, just don't follow them so it doesn't show up on your feed. Make sure that you're following people that are going places, following people that inspire you, following people that might either be in your niche, but then also following people that represent your potential clients. And so when you're super clear about, like, your overall vision, but also about your target audience, you get to know your audience, right? You get to know your people. You get to kind of see them from a mile away. So start to engage with those types of accounts.
Yes. And this is one of the things that I didn't realize, how much this actually helps with your content and your reach and your engagement online. Because as I was making the transition into being a business owner, stepping away from corporate and building that brand online, what a lot of people first run into is their entire network is full of old classmates and friends and family and coworkers. Then they're pushing, out this content to promote their business and their services. And then they see that, oh, it's not really landing anywhere.
Right.
So I like to tell people, like, when it comes to Facebook, number one, is going to show your content to about 6% of the people in your audience. If the majority of the people in your audience aren't even in your target demographics, you're talking to a brick wall. No matter how fire your content is, you have to, like you said, detox that out once a quarter, however often, so that the right people are seeing the right information and you can take them to that next level, right? And that buyer's journey, and go ahead and nurture and convert them and go ahead and keep it going.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And don't be afraid to have conversations outside of the timeline, engage in the comments. A lot of times people will post and they're like, all right, check the box, I posted today, but it's not like, it's a conversation. So check on your comments, engage in the comments, engage in the DMs, like actually continue the conversation.
I love that. And the power of engagement. I come across a lot of people that have, they have all this traffic and engagement on their profiles and things like that, but they're not engaging back with the people in their audience, right? That simple strategy or that simple practice of just responding back to the comments on your post. It seems like something we should be doing anyway, but you don't underestimate the power of where this can go, because that back and forth conversation could lead to you planting a seed to lead to this person mentioning your name, and who knows where that can go.
Absolutely.
Which goes into the conversation that I wanted to get into. So when it comes to the kind of conversations that we're having on social media, like me and my setter, we were just kind of going back a couple of meetings ago, going back through conversations I had maybe 2-3 years ago, and they're completely different from the conversations that we have today. So what are some things that you've seen when it comes to people that are maybe spending all these hours on social media and then DMs, and they're having conversations and it's not going anywhere, right? Yeah. What are some of the reasons, or your standpoint on that?
So the one, it could be the approach, right? So you kind of talked about it earlier, like just like kind of posting for posting's sake, but it might just be landed in the wrong audience. To, lead with value. And so a lot of times, what tends to happen is if your DMs are falling flat, or your conversation or your content is falling flat, it's not adding value to the person's life, whether it's educating them, whether it's entertaining them, or, even just inspiring, right? So lead with value. Like a lot of times we hop in the DMs and it's like, boom, like sign up for my webinar, sign up for my course. And it's like, hold up, sis. Like, we don't even know each other like that. Talk to me a little bit, like tell me, what's going on. And it doesn't have to be a long drawn out process, but even just small things like, hey, like I noticed that you are a system strategist. I am hosting, a masterclass is going to help you X, Y, and Z, right? Or I'm hosting this is going to help you and bring it back to your ideal client, bring it back to that person, so they know that you're not just sending the same message to 100 different people, but it's customized and you actually took the time to understand a little peek inside of their business, inside of their world.
Yes. And I really want to pause here and make sure that the people who are tuning in live and catching this on a replay really understand the gems that you just dropped. One is detoxing your timeline or your network, right? Because what that does is it clears out and creates space and room for all of the targeted, the quality leads that you want to be connected to, but also helps you foster and create this environment that, again, you like to log into and be a part of, and actually want to be on Facebook or LinkedIn or Clubhouse every day. That's one thing you mentioned. The other thing is having these conversations. What I notice is that when you're having quality conversations, not just the, what's your goals or what do you do, how long, not the interrogation, but really conversations where you can build rapport and find that mutual ground. Like, I've created some long-term friends online from strangers just in conversation.
Same.
Right. And so these are two powerful gems that you dropped that will help those people who's right now not leveraging the power of social media, who's not right now getting that ROI back on their social media, the time they're spending, right, one, clear out your news. When's the last time you had a really good look at who's on your friends list? Are they supposed to be on your friends list? Right. Is there energy there? Do you like the content they're putting out? If not, why are you still connected? Go ahead and remove them, right? Mm-hmm. Then the conversations you're having, don't just go straight to, in dating world, right? Don't go straight to let's get married, right? Like, no. Right. Find something in common so you can see if you like the person first, and then that will open up the opportunity to see if there's any support that you can offer. Yeah. So I'm all about action. I'm all about learning and implementing. So outside of these two steps, what else? What's one last step that people can do when they're
the last thing is really to prepare for that next step. And so, as you're hanging out on social media, as you're hanging out on LinkedIn or Facebook, people are scrolling all the time, right? And so when they stop, when you get them to actually stop their thumb and stop the scroll, right? That's what I call it, scroll stopper. When you get to that point, do you have the next step laid out for them? And a lot of times we think that next step is a sale, but like in you and our business, we have high ticket offers, right? So nobody's going to buy a $15,000 or $20,000 package from one post, right? But what they might do is they might book a call, they might engage with us, they may, click the link in our bio, and we have to make sure that part is optimized so that literally in like 7 seconds, somebody sees the post, they go over to our link, it's ready for somebody to take that next step. And versus, like I posted and nobody did anything, nobody said anything, it was just crickets. But is your profile optimized for people to take that next step?
Yes, I'm so glad you said one. I love the word optimize in general because I'm just like,
well, you're a systems person, so yes, you like that word.
Yes, but it's I didn't realize this until one of my coaches told me this. But there's easily 5K sitting right there on your personal profile in your bio, because what I like to help people understand is that your personal profile is like your personal salesperson. Mm-hmm. It's selling on your behalf, whether you're visible, active online or not. It's working for you 24/7, which means all the connection that you're doing, all the content that's landing wherever it is, all roads funnel back to your personal profile. So at all times of the day, there's leads coming onto your profile, lurking, seeing the content you have, seeing if they want to connect with you, right? So the least thing you can do is optimize your profile, make sure the right information is in your bio, you have a call to action, you have a link that will take them to that next step, right? And let that be your funnel outside of the funnel, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yes. And make sure your profile pic is up to date. Some of y'all got pictures from 1999, back when y'all graduated college, graduated high school, or your, photos of you when you got married. It's 2022. Go on and put a new profile pic up.
Please do. Please do. Please do. And y'all, if y'all have any questions at all for Miss Shanel, go ahead and comment them down below, and I'll go ahead and read them out for you all. But while you guys are doing that, so my second to last question for you, Shanel, is throughout all of your experience in working with social media and helping all of these businesses leverage the power of social media, what has been your favorite success story or your favorite transformation that you've seen?
I would say one of my biggest win success stories is really just showing up authentically and sharing what I believed in, not just from a business standpoint, because that's important, but also like, what do you stand for? Like if you're very active in your community, be okay with saying that. Like if you are, on a breast cancer foundation board, like be okay with saying that. But as a result of me sharing my beliefs on a LinkedIn post led to, a 5-figure contract that then led to a 5-figure contract for a colleague of mine who then was able to add a 5-figure hire to her, network. And so, it's not just about us. Like it is about us, but it's not just about our businesses. It's about the breadcrumbs that we leave and the impact that we make on the other businesses around us. And it really just starts with us showing up, us being visible, us standing for what we believe in, but also, just being really clear on our mission in our business.
Mic drop right there. It's a mic drop. I love it because it reminds me, I don't know if any of y'all who know this out there, but I ran away from social media for 6 years because I had this belief of I had my own limiting beliefs of I'm scared to be online, scared to talk, scared to show my life and be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
But when you remove yourself out of the equation and you know, number one, there's a special assignment over your life and you're here to for the betterment of for the success of someone else, help someone else up the ladder, then it's like, okay, when you come onto social media, it's for me now is the intention to serve. Right. It's the intention of who's the next person I can connect with. Mm-hmm. Who's someone I can take to that next level? Who's someone who can help me? Iron sharpens iron. That's the kind of network that I like having. And so social media, just what it's done for you, your clients, and from those in this time-rich CEO community, it has literally transformed and changed lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And impacted and changed the trajectory of generations to come, because we're in this era, right? There's the opportunities that come from social media is so limitless, and you can really, whatever it is that you want to make social media, you can make it happen. Okay. So don't underestimate.
Everything you need is right there on your timeline. You just got to go out there and get it.
Yes. I love that. So is there any last word of advice, any last gem or something that you would like to leave those who's tuning in of how they can generate recurring revenue on a repeat?
Yeah. So one, there are two things. One, you said it, iron sharpens iron. And so, our listeners, they're brilliant, right? They're brilliant. They're experts in their field, but you need to be around other brilliant people that can, sharpen your iron, whether that's from a system standpoint, whether it's from an automation standpoint, whether it's from a social media and visibility standpoint. So iron sharpens iron. Make sure you're always sharpening your iron. At every level that you're at. And then two is execute. Alante and I, have shared, some awesome tips and some awesome strategies, but they don't work if you don't execute at least one of them. So pick one thing to execute on this week. And I promise you, even if you just execute just one of the things, I promise you that you are going to see some increased visibility and increased revenue in your business.
Yes. And just to recap these gems she dropped 3 actionable steps that each and every one of you can take action on today. Okay. That first one was detox your network, detox who's in your audience, those who is in your audience that shouldn't be there. Go ahead and clean them out.
Right.
2, optimize your bio, optimize your personal profile, right? When people come into your profile, I like to call it the 3 scroll test. People are only going to scroll 3 times to see if, number one, you're the person they want to connect with, you have the information they need to learn, and you're also someone they want to go ahead and take to the next level, engage in conversation, what else that could be, right? Yeah. And then the third thing is conversations. In your conversations, be intentional. Make sure that you're intentional about connecting, building rapport, right? Learning who the person is before you learn about the business, and that's going to take you further, right? Than shooting your shot, in other words.
Right.
But outside of that, Queen, thank you so much, Shanel, for your journey.
Thank you. This was awesome conversation. So much fun.
Absolutely. So where can people who want to connect with you, where can they find you online, anywhere? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm on all things social, Shanel Evans. You can find me. I'm active on pretty much every platform. So Shanel Evans, Shanel spelled with an S, no E at the end. Shanel Evans. You can find me on all social platforms, and you can find me right here in the Facebook community as well.
All right, y'all. Awesome. Well, we are out, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them down below, and we will see y'all next Tuesday. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.